This is Meet the Practitioner, the Happy Signals podcast, where you'll hear from people like you, IT leaders and experienced champions sharing real stories, real lessons, and what's beyond the metrics.
Hello everyone, my name is Mark Bewick and welcome to this episode of Meet the Practitioner, where today I'm joined by Shaun Brown. During this session, we're going to be covering a few key areas associated with IT experience management. And to jump straight into this, Shaun, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your path into ITSM and later into experience management.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here with you today. Okay, a bit about myself. I don't want to go too much about myself, but what I will say is that anyone who's been in IT as long as I have, or as long as you have, Mark, we're both all hands in this space now. We know we've gone through different maturity levels, and I think that and this is obviously in a technical space more, but of course different frameworks too, ITIL, etc. And I think that we should all come to understand that as we've developed in IT, that we're actually working hospitality. And this hospitality space, now I know that's contentious for a lot of people in IT. We're all techies, and it's far more than just hospitality. But I think this development is kind of natural. And that leads me to, as you were saying about experience management as well, I think the development towards experience is natural. It's the evolution. As technology has matured and become so much more reliable than it was in the past, it's how we serve, deliver the overall IT experience that I think is now much more important. But a bit about me, I started off a long time ago on Honeywell DPS-7 mainframes. And so to put this into context, in those days, if we didn't have rubber mats in the computer rooms to take away the static from your shoes, if you touched the mainframe, it would crash. Right? So we have come a long way, which is why I talk about now we're in this hospitality space. To expand a little bit as well, I think as IT services matures and we start focusing, we went into the world of service management and ITIL, and we started focusing on processes, providing the structure, the governance, to deliver consistent and reliable services. We've done all that. And of course, SLAs, operational efficiency, came into play. And you and I both know, Mark, we realized that actually SLAs didn't always mean happy users, aka the watermelon effect, which we've all come to know and love. So I think the evolution towards IT service management, or IT experience management, was really to understand that human side of IT, the human side of IT services. And from that, build better relationships too. And I got to say, personally, that's the thing that excites me, because I think this is cool stuff when we talk about this. It can be, as you and I both know, Mark, quite challenging to sell this, to get it up the food chain in the companies that you're in. If you don't mind, Mark, I'd like to give a quote. And it's an old quote. I used to use it years ago, but I think it's become more relevant again today. And this quote says, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. That quote came from Warren Buffett, the American entrepreneur. And I think about that more recently. I've been looking at that quote again, thinking, Buffett's quote reminds IT leaders that every interaction is a reputational moment. So IT experience management ensures that those moments are positive, consistent, human-centered, because I think in the digital workspace, and as we develop today, IT's reputation is the foundation for productivity and business success. So again, I think that's cool stuff. So I didn't want to dwell on where I've come from, but I think the world that we're in now with service management and the world that we're in with experience management is an exciting place to be.
It certainly is, Shaun, and I've said it many times that I think when we look at what people expect from IT, and I'm going to be writing some articles on this and some LinkedIn updates on this, nothing's really, their expectations might have changed a little bit, right? In terms of they get things through life that are really quick now. You can get your delivery of food the same day or from Amazon the same day. So they don't want to wait 7 days for a ticket to be restored. But in the end, from a employee perspective, a colleague perspective, I see them as colleagues. I used to call them colleagues as opposed to employees I was serving them in a head of service management role. They've never wanted much more than to be communicated with to get what they've asked for and to get it pretty quickly. Well, I think they've never asked people to do backflips down the hallway, right? It's always been or somersaults or handstands. They've been asking to just give me what I'm asking for quickly and tell me what's going on. Keep me informed. I think that's an interesting way that maybe that's coming more to the front now. That's a differentiator, and but it's interesting how I don't think they've never not wanted that. They've always wanted that, but now there's much more focus on it. Very, very interesting change in approach.
No, I totally agree with you. And that's why I talk about the reputation of IT, the relationship, building that reputation and relationship is key. You and I know that if you've got a great relationship, you can have an issue that could last a number of days, but if your communication is effective, because your relationship is there, it's easier for that end user or colleague to understand.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen so many when I was doing this day to day in my former company, looking after employee experience and looking at the feedback we were getting. It was eye opening when you could see a ticket that had been open for 3, 4, 5 months, and it comes back with a really high satisfaction score, and you think, but how on earth can that happen? And it was all due to the conversation, the communication. Similarly, with another customer of ours, we see a certain application type of tickets taking 9, 10 hours to resolve religiously, often common to take 9 or 10 hours, happiness score 93 out of, on the NPS scale, very, very high happiness score. And that's because the person who looks after them is just great at what she does. They've got this single lady who deals with these specific application issues, and people love her. She's been around for 20, 30 years, and people love her. So they're willing to accept that things take a little while longer, but they will be open about the fact that it took a little while, right? But they were still happy. So yeah, maybe communication is great and our approach is wonderful. So brilliant stuff. So you mentioned a little bit ago about CSAT, SLAs, KPIs. I've got a pretty strong view about these, but what's your view on these? Do you think they're sufficient? Do you think they have a place still, or are they dead?
I don't think they're dead. I do think they have a place in our business and a place in time, however. So the SLAs, as we know, they measure the speed and compliance, not the actual end user satisfaction per se. CSAT, that's a difficult one. I think CSAT comes too late to the party, and it's too generic to drive meaningful change. The unhappy face or a happy face, but why? It's kind of, So I think CSAT's on its, in the current form I know is at CSAT, I think it's on its last legs. It's in its lair. So KPIs, however, they're more inward looking, right? So they're focused on more the IT performance, so not productivity or experience. So I think they have their place, but I mean, the overall example is this, right? We're green on the SLAs, but we're still getting complaints, aka that watermelon again. So I think they have their place. Don't think they're completely dead. Perhaps CSAT though is kind of in its on its last legs, I think. But I think they all have their place in time, as it were.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think certainly with CSAT, if you're just doing it for a number and purely a number, then I think it has limited value, other than to hold providers' feet to the fire, maybe. But other than that, you're not going to get anything golden out of a smiley face or two, right? It's almost like when you go to the lavatory at the or the toilet at the airport. You press a smiley face. But what was I happy about? The fact that it was open, the fact that there was toilet paper, the fact that there was running water. I don't know, right? It could be any reason.
I don't know. Yeah, it could be any reason. But you're right. The CSAT for me as well is something. If you're using an MSP or managed service provider, they come with the CSATs because it looks good for them, right? Yeah, we've got some smiley faces, but what does it really mean? So that's why I think it's probably had its time, and But as I said at the beginning, it had its time, it had its place in the business, but I think that's one that's probably, like I say, on its last legs.
Yeah, fair enough. So I know you're a fan and a practitioner of IT experience management. We're here talking about today, so that's fairly obvious. Could you share, if possible, a couple of practical ways that you're using ITXM today, and maybe an example or two, if you're allowed or able to, of things you've changed because of it?
Sure. So as you know, we certainly use happy signals, and one of the things we measure is lost productivity hours, or instead of just resolution time. So the perceived lost time, I think, is a great driver because it helps you focus on where you need to improve and make changes. And you can come up with a monetary dollar figure on this as well if you want to when it comes to lost time. So what I mean is we know today that at C-level and at the executive levels, people are most interested in the value that experience management can bring in terms of those dollar savings, that monetary value. I think having lost time data and acting on it, which we're trying to do, is really important, and it has a lot more emphasis and more. It's become more important as we hit 2026 now and beyond. So for customers, happy customers like ourselves, we need some help with that. No pressure, Mark, but that's something that I think is going to grow this year. The other thing is we use experience data to identify and prioritize improvements. So these can be technical and non-technical. And for us, a lot of the improvements we've seen are not the technical improvements, because as I mentioned earlier, technology has come a long way, and I think technology is pretty cool. It's how you deliver it and how you provide those soft skills that come with it. And that's been a real game changer for us. Some of the changes we have made with the data, though, has been from the feedback we've had. We've simplified some approval steps. For example, we've rewritten guidelines and user documents to make more sense to an end user, not to an IT person, to an end user or colleague, I should say, work colleagues.
Yes.
And we've done a lot and continue to do a lot on communication, just how we're communicating and what type of communication we're doing. And one final point, I found that if you have an MSP, a managed service provider, and you work with them on experience management, take them on the journey with you, it can be a real game changer in your working relationship, because it helps build partnerships and improves that collaboration. Because at the end, you're just working together to deliver to your services to an end customer, an end user. So that's the practical ways that we're using
And I
experience
would
management.
agree. I would agree. By the way, bringing them along is critical. It changes that wall between provider customer, and it removes that as soon as you're on the same path and fighting towards the same goals, right? So I think, I've witnessed that myself in my old role as well, and it's critical that you bring them along for the ride, whether it be internal service providers or external. Either way, they need to be with you. Okay, so
Yeah,
finally, and
agreed.
I really love this part. Could you share some of the best and toughest feedback that's been received and what you did about it? Any examples of that? Any juicy ones for us?
I think, best examples, for me, I'm kind of like, if I get a thank you, I think that's good enough. But the best examples really is that I started seeing some direct feedback saying, this is the first time it feels like IT understands me or understands us. And I think that piece, because I've sort of shown that we're listening and we understand that person's experience that they're having, that's been incredible to get that feedback. Because Mark, and the company I work for, some of the feedback we get is quite direct, and I couldn't repeat it here. So getting some nice feedback is good.
Yes.
The toughest feedback, and this is one that hurts, and I've seen this recently. I dread contacting IT because it feels like it's a black hole, and that's really tough to take, right? Because we feel we're doing a lot of positive stuff, and then you get these knocks, So I think the tough feedback actually, it focuses your mind to drive change. And I think we've done a lot of that with transparency and communication. And though the tough feedback is hard to take, you have to be able to step back, analyze it with an open mind, because people can be very direct with the feedback. Mark, it's real-time feedback as well. So it's very much, it's how people feel at that moment. It's real time. You're not asking, we're not doing surveys that are on something that happened 2 weeks ago. So it's fresh.
Yeah, it's fresh.
So you get that raw emotion. And so I think that's important. And I also think, and I know you've heard me say this before, but why this is so important, the experience feedback, and the tough feedback. The feedback, experience is a team sport, this, but it's a team sport, right? We do it together. So and IT experience management only works when IT teams, engineers, developers, architects, understand the emotional impact of the work they do. So it's not just about fixes, it's that understanding the feelings. And that's why, so when we talk about feedback, it's about, like I say, really looking at that and trying to understand those feelings behind that feedback. Because this already, Mark, it's not just about response times, it's about reducing that emotional load, that end users have. And so the feedback we get, because it's real time, it is full of emotion.
Yeah.
So,
But isn't that the best? I mean, I think a lot about a similar line of thought of you learn more from your mistakes than your wins, right? Than you're doing things right all the time. And I think it's very much the same here. The tough feedback has such gold in it that ignoring it is not the right way, of course, but taking that on the chin and saying, fair enough, we need to do something about this. I think you win far more out of that feedback. You learn on both, but I think my personal thought is you learn more on the tough feedback than the thanks or the you did a good job. Do you know what I mean? That's needed for motivation, but you learn from the tough stuff. If that makes sense. I hope it makes
tough love, right? Yeah,
sense.
I totally agree with you there. It's tough love. I think, I say this is a experience as a team sport, because it's one of the challenges I mentioned. When you try to do experience management, you've got to get the support to make it happen. You've got to get everyone on board. And that's real tough to do internally with teams. But I say it's a team sport. If you don't mind, I'll do another quote. You've heard me say this before. The great ice hockey player Wayne Gretzky, if you're into ice hockey, he said, "I skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it has been." So experience management is how we stay ahead of the puck by designing IT. So that includes the digital AI stuff that people trust, feel supported by, and even, dare I say, even enjoy using. IT they enjoy using. So that's where experience management is so strong, I think, and that's the place it really has in the IT service management space. It's how you stay ahead of the puck.
Very nice. Very nice. I like that one. I'll probably steal that one at some point from you, Shaun, in the future. Excellent. So that was a really good short podcast. I've really enjoyed it. So Shaun, why don't you leave us with a final thought or two about IT experience management and where it's going and whatever's on your mind.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Thanks, Mark. I think, finally, I think, in a world where everything runs on technology, we spoke about technology and how good it is. Happiness and productivity often depends on how easy or how difficult it is to get things done. IT experience management brings that lens to the forefront, because our goal isn't just to keep systems running anymore. It's to help people feel confident, connected, and supported as they do their best work. So experience management is the tool, or dare I say, the practice we use to make that happen.
Very good. Very good. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Shaun. I really appreciate your time today. It's a fantastic session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Much appreciated. Take care.
If you liked this episode, please give us thumbs up, rating, or share it with your colleagues to help others learn about this topic as well. To learn more, go to happysignals.com.